Welcome here to the SEAM studio, ladies and gentlemen, and to continue with our air crash investigation. Today I'm going to have a little closer look at zero visibility. One of the big problems of our time. But before I carry on, just something about the SEAM's products, SEAM's Aviation, as you can see there. If you log in there, remember this is where you can do online stuff like accident investigation. And I know a lot of people would like to do that. There's also the full SMS courses. Today's video, I want to talk about VFR flights and when they crash into, and mostly it's high ground. Sometimes there's lower masts and stuff like that that helicopters fly in, but in general, it's when the pilot gets into a situation, he's not trained for it, he is not prepared for it, and the next moment, well, as you will see right through and with the videos that I'm going to show later on, that it's all ends up in tragedy. There's a couple of common denominators. The first common denominator I'm talking about is pilot preparedness for VFR flight. Well, normally they are not, all right? IFR conditions with no other option. Hey, I'm jumping right into the thing to say, listen, we're flying towards conditions which if it deteriorates to another level, there is no way to turn around. You are forced into a corner. And here we can have many examples, which we obviously will. Venture into cloud and miss by attention split. All right, whoa, let me get to this one. This is the more sort of, I won't say honest or dishonest, but from a human factors point of view is we might be flying just below, let's say, the layer of cloud or the layer of mist, and we're low enough so that we can see the ground and everything is fine. And as we look inside and we look up, everything just becomes pure white outside. And yeah, it's like gray-white. And then the next moment, well, there is absolutely no referencing. And now it's over to instrument flying, and instrument flying in its worst inception phase. And that is when you are going there inadvertently. You are not prepared. Your mind is not prepared. And now the reaction after that, well, we'll see what it is and what it leads to then. Now, the next one is pilots normally have no IFR training or instrument flight training. Look, I know a lot of pilots out there that think that, such training has got no worth and it's only for those who aren't good enough and blah, blah, blah. Well, guys and girls, you are so totally wrong. It's not even funny. Well, it is definitely not funny because the moment that you attempt to go into a situation that you are not trained for, and by the way, you're also not designed for it. Yeah, you heard me right. You are not designed to fly without visual referencing outside. Aircraft and helicopters know auto assistance to facilitate IFR. That's not always true. You get the helicopter types that's got that. But remember again, there must be training. There must be the ability to access whatever facility you have timeously and make it right so that you can get out of trouble. Okay, and that is not just, okay, one day I'll do it. Human design regarding your balance, and then regarding pushing on. But let's just talk about the balance. Inside the ears, you've got these channels. Now think in pitch, roll, and yaw that we use in an aircraft. Well, it's the same inside here, using pitch, roll, and roll and yaw, and our eyes in reference to a stable reference will reset everything. But when we lose that stable reference, then everything inside here goes on what are the accelerations that the ears or the body then is exposed to. Now, there's a huge difference because you can sit in a beautifully turned banking turn, everything balanced, and your ears and your brain will work it out that you're actually flying straight and level. That, by the way, happens within 20 seconds, and then you can kiss your butt goodbye, as a rule, as an average. Now, spatial orientation is a person being unable to determine their position relative to motion, common occurrence during the periods of challenging visibility. Well, when we look at this area and things that's happening, they say the auditory system, vestibular system within the inner ear, and this is what I've been talking about, and you can go and read up about that. But I want you to leave with it. Spatial darkness results in a person being unable to determine their position relative to motion commonly occurring during a period of channeling visibility, because our eyesight has got a lot to do with what we believe our stance or our position relative to everything else will be. Okay, in aviation, spatial disorientation, there I say, can result in improper perception of the attitude of the aircraft. The urge to follow your instinct and your feeling is the most horrible thing to overcome. It takes exposure, it takes training, it takes recognition, and it takes you to understand that you have to believe your instruments. Yes, I know there are cases when the instruments fail. I get it. But that is less if we would compare it to the instances where we started believing our minds and not the instruments. All right. Just remember that this is not something you can hack on the go. You're not designed for it. And if you haven't got the experience, the exposure, and you know what you are dealing with, you are going to follow your head and you're not going to follow the instruments. And we will follow in the hearse. Let's have a look at a couple of compilations on what we're going to do.
Well, the first case that we're having a look at is the very famous Robinson 44, where the pilot decided so important to take the newly married couple to where the reception would be, that he voluntarily went IMC. But as predicted, this accident would happen. It will happen. If he got out of that, that would have been just pure luck. Very, very few will have that luck. There's two guys, well, there's more in the aircraft, but looking forward, they're flying, well, inside the cloud. They are in IMC conditions. And look at the mountain on the right coming past now. And wow, they just missed it. But did they miss it? Well, they missed the rocks. I think this would have been trees or maybe little bushes that they strafed. But very, very close. This is the very famous one about the basketball player. And I just want to show, at one stage he had to climb to 4,000 feet. Look at the rate of climb, very up to about 4,000. I'm not sure that was correct. But then all of a sudden it's like the pilot lost it. He thought he was still climbing. He actually said he's climbing to 4,000. But you can see there's already a 4,000 feet descent. And bank is going up to about 30-45 degrees, and that is the end result. Well, this one we see quite a lot, and when you climb up the mountain like that in this cloud and there's the misty conditions going up to the top, you actually do not know what the conditions are on the other side of the reach. This is where you should slow down and then continue only if you can see. But in this case, the pilot just whipped over the top and into IMC conditions. He actually still could see, but I'm sure he looked inside, whipped the aircraft around, or the helicopter at least around, and well, that was the accident.
Now, once having a look at all the videos, let's look at the probable lifespan sequence of events leading to the CFIT, or the controlled flight into terrain accidents. Whoa, all right. It's a bit of a misnomer. It's not necessarily controlled. It's uncontrolled flight into terrain, okay? So CFIT is not the right word here. The jury is probably out on this one because we say it's controlled flight. Many a time when we fly with a serviceable aircraft into the ground, it's not because we were in control. The question should be, who is in control? And mostly in this case, no pilot. The pilot's not in control. Okay, so let's look at the first one, flying in the same route many a times. And that leads to the fact that you become sort of complacent, relaxed, you think you can hack it. Okay, you get comfortable that the route and the dangers are well within your capabilities. But if the weather changes and the wind changes, you still think you can hack it. Do frequent scud running. Now, scud is the loose cloud that normally runs in front of some front. In front of a frontal system, and you get these loose clouds. But they can become fairly thick. And scud running means you run into this cloud and then pop out on the other side, run into the next one, pop out the other side. And short before long, you believe that you are the world's best instrument flight pilot, or at least maybe the latest, I don't know. We tempt low-level flying when the cloud becomes even lower. Very natural response. Go below. And as the ground is rising, the mist is sitting there, all that you're doing is you stay low, but you cannot go lower than Mother Earth. And that will push you into the corner. Now you can enter the corner by entering the mist, or the fog, or the cloud. But you don't know what's inside that cloud. Maybe there are some granite inside that, mostly there would be granite. All right, having to decide between rising ground and going IFR, eventually, when you're in that corner, there's no decision. You have to go instrument because there's no other way forward. Accidental or IFR as an option on the spur of the moment. Guys, girls, instrument flying is dangerous. Not because I say so, the statistics show it. Our design shows that. The competency inside the aircraft in reading the instruments and understanding what you are seeing and how to recover if something goes wrong, what to believe, how to deal with your feelings. All right. I'm going to burst a lot of bubbles, but sorry, you weren't born super enough to get outside the stuff. In fact, you have to be born in a very special aviation modular form, which is not possible. All right, dare to outclimb a mountain? Really? In a normal aircraft? Look. If I had a fighter jet and I was zooming at Mach 0.8 and I pulled it vertical, I'll outclimb any mountain. All right, I will end up above any mountain. I get it, you get it, we all get it. But your Cessna, your Seneca, your Baron, your light aircraft is never ever going to have the ability to outclimb a mountain as a rule. So don't think to ease up the mountain, ease up the mountain. You're going to maintain this. Sometimes you're going to run out of speed. Now you've got two problems. You're going to run out of speed and you're going to run out of visibility. Take it for granted the cloud on the other side of the peak is the same. I have to say this thing, and the reason I'm giggling slightly is because I've been there. You go up this little bit of cloud here, a little bit of cloud there, and a moment you go other side, there is this thick mist cloud, fog, whatever you want to call it, because it's white stuff on the other side. And if you go over, you into that. It's from seeing pretty okay, relatively okay, to seeing to have no reference except this gray white outside. In the mountains, I teach that if you go to a point, go into the hover, have a look what's on the other side. If it's fine, go over. If it's not fine, do a hover turn, go back where you come from. And hopefully the weather won't close behind you, rely on an autopilot or auto-stabilization. That we see quite a lot where people say, but my autopilot. Yes, your autopilot's much better than you. I'm going to grant that. Your autopilot can fly instruments. Doesn't make you an instrument pilot. Because if the autopilot becomes disengaged for some or other reason, malfunctions for some or other reason, you are gone. Well, the autopilot as well, because I mean, it's going into the ground with you. Don't want to sound too flippant about it. Relying on the perception of the aircraft attitude, and that, as I said, is a brain function. Believe you, feeling not is not what you don't believe the instruments. Okay. Now, I start here on the top. I say, on average, an aircraft cannot outclimb a mountain. Get it into your head. The light aircraft, except if it's a really strong power available above power required. But man, now I'm not talking about your average here. I'm talking now about military stuff. Anything non-military, ain't gonna. You're not gonna make it, okay? Know it and avoid it. Know it, get into, die. Straightforward. To know the scenario leads to CFIT. All right. Consciously recognize it and act on the truth. Listen to that. To know the scenario that leads to CFIT. Now, I said CFIT, all right, we know it's not really controlled, but you're getting my gist. Only fly at night when you're trained. When flying at night on a visible, use the flight instruments. Hey, if you fly at night, there are minimum heights and minimum rules to fly. If you fly instruments, there are minimum heights and minimum rules. After 100 years and many lives and much blood in the case, really are you going to say that you are the human being that's going to show us the new way? All right, if interesting to fly at night, well, if intending to fly at night, maintain the night currency freak. Yes, you must be current. Hey, I've got a night rating and I haven't flown for the past 3 years, but yeah, I'm allowed to hack it. Yes, you are allowed. But are you capable? Nope, not so. If only visual flight rules qualified, do not attempt visual flight where there is no possibility of getting trapped into deteriorating weather. Normal common sense. Well, the sense is not that common because in our humanity we think that we are bigger than the game. A gentle reminder that Mother Earth cares absolutely zip about you. No. She's not going to give way. You're going to just interact in a very, very high kinetic fashion with whatever is in front of you. If you experience a vestibular illusion during flight, how will you know that? You will look at your instruments and you see they show you are sitting in a left-hand bank, but your mind says to you, you're going straight. Hey, there is a major discrepancy between the instruments and your mind. Is it just a simple instrument that maybe cocked it up? Well, there's quite a few of them. A very extremely quick cross-referencing, if you know what to do, will show that the instruments are actually pretty much okay. If they're not okay, well, unfortunately, it doubly sucks. What can I say? Load factor, all right, remember, the moment that you start pulling G's and stuff, the aircraft is, it's got limited capabilities, but it's also got a huge influence of yourself under the specific situations. So what can I say? Well, simply, I just say if you have no plan B. Remember, if you get into that and you have no plan B, then the ramifications of plan A will become reality. Until the next time.